On an extraordinary day in politics, another player added to the drama. Assistant Treasurer and Small Business Minister Mark Arbib resigned for what he says are personal reasons. Well, joining me now from our Melbourne studio is Peter Strong, Executive Director of COSBOA, the Council of Small Businesses of Australia. Peter, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Mark Arbib was one of the so-called faceless men who helped put Julia Gillard into the Prime Ministership in 2010. Presumably, he had the very close ear of the Prime Minister. Did he do much for small business?
Well, he didn't have time to do much for small business. He was only in the job for 2 months, so that made it a bit difficult. He engaged with us. We had deep discussions. We talked about what we needed, about small business commissioners, etc. But now he's gone, of course, so we're going to have to do it all again with somebody else, and that's disappointing.
All this noise of the leadership struggle, of course, was too much for the news that came out last week about how small business is travelling at the moment.
Well, that's right. The whole challenge took the front pages away from the fact that 48%, there was an increase of 48% increase in bankruptcies last year. 48% increase, that's thousands and thousands of people out there that are suffering, that are losing everything. And sadly, we had the whole focus really was on the power struggle down in Canberra. So that was disappointing, and this week we're going to try and put that focus back on the problems that we have in the sector at the moment. We're going to talk about getting a small business commissioner in place. We're going to talk about improving the communications from the federal government departments with small businesses. At the moment, all the communications were around big business, they're around communicating with experts, and they seem to have forgotten that 96% of businesses are small, so they're not experts. And they seem to have forgotten that. So we're working really hard with the government, and certainly with the impetus that comes from Bruce Bilson in the opposition. He's always been there for the last few years for small business. He's been consistent, and we have momentum, and we want to make sure that momentum doesn't stop now.
The issue of manufacturing came up in Andrew Robertson's piece. A cabinet reshuffle is obviously on the way. Do you have concerns about the manufacturing portfolio, that it's now separate from industry, and indeed it's outside the cabinet?
Well, that was anything outside the cabinet suffers. It doesn't get the same focus as what's inside the cabinet. And with manufacturing, there's so many small businesses. I think it's 80,000 small manufacturers out there. They've got the capacity to respond quickly to the changes that are needed. So they're suffering from the dollar, the same as everybody else, but they can react quickly. They can change products. They can discover new markets. And I think we've got to focus on them for a change and forget about the big fellas.
Kevin Rudd, during his campaign last week, made a clear pitch for a new relationship with business and with small business. I think he mentioned tax breaks. What do you think the chances are of now a new relationship developing with the business community?
Well, I think the relationship with the small business community over the last 6 months has developed enormously, and I had a meeting with the Prime Minister, a private meeting at the Lodge after Christmas. My Deputy Chair is meeting regularly with ministers and with advisors, and we're getting deep engagement. Now, we've got to make sure that keeps going. I think it will, but we've had a lot of lip service in the past from lots and lots of governments, and nothing's come of it. So we'll be hanging in there making sure it does happen. And I really do want to stress the fact that in the opposition at the last election that Bruce Bilson with Tony Abbott announced that they were going to put a commissioner in place. They were going to give us good changes in contract law. They were going to look after us. So there was the momentum that came from that, and the government has certainly picked up on that. What
about the Fair Work Act? Because that seems to be at the heart of so much of this industrial relations concern.
Well, one of the case studies you did just a minute ago, they talked about having a focus on small business, and what we've put up to the Fair Work Act review is that for the last 100 years, the whole industrial relations system's been based around the needs of big business. 96% of businesses are small. 60% of workplaces employ less than 5, so we must focus on the small workplace and look after the people in the small workplace, and the rest of the system will come together. And that's what we want to see over the next 6 months, is a complete focus on small business, on the people in small business and what they need.
Peter Strong, we'll follow this carefully. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.